floor has seen better days. The layer of paint has started to peel off due to the salt and wind from the sea. Even the lock looks slightly rusted.
I'll wait outside to give you some time and privacy to check out your new living arrangements. But just so you know, after we are done with the day, I'll still be staying in the whirling in rags for the night. We'll meet in front of the shack in the morning.
The key turns with a satisfying click. You can enter the shack now. This is it, the scene of the party. The fire pit, cigarettes, and empty bottles all evidence it. Looks like they were here a while, judging from all the bottles. The sunken motor carriage provided them a focal point, like a goose ice sculpture or a chocolate fountain.
Looks like it. Hey, let's keep moving, detective.
Scab?
You're hazy on the notion of a scab. Smells like politics, though. Maybe it's got something to do with the flask he reaches for from time to time.
A kind of a worm, content with mere survival. They come, they want to do our job for shittier pay, screwing over both themselves and us. Everybody loses. Beats me. Somewhere in the ground, I think. Gotta be bloody stupid or freaking evil to scab. Or I guess scared, maybe. But scared of what? Of who? Personally, I'd rather beg than scab. If the gentleman shouting on the street came begging, maybe they'd have gotten something. We've explained the matters, but they don't listen. This lot would be reasonable and go home if the big guy wasn't riling them up all the time. I was just messing with you. No one's ever seen a cop scab. Imagine, you cops going on a strike, but then another cop comes in and says, "Let us cop for less money."
Psst, show him your stolen card. Now has arrived the perfect moment.
Speaking of, what brings the RCM here, to the wild north? Come to see the strife?
The man looks at the colorful piece of plastic, then at you, then back at the card, then at you again.
But that's not you, officer. Good thing, too. I've known Johannes for a few years now. Be sinister if he turned into a completely different person overnight. How did you get his shift card anyway?
Now you're in a mess. The time hath not arrived. Sorry.
Oh, John's been out drinking himself blind again? He should watch his step, that John. Can I have the card?
No, it will prove useful still. Believe your thieving fingers.
Oh, is my friend in some sort of trouble? Who knew? Murder, huh? That sounds like a lot of hard work. You'd never see me investigating a murder. Of course, Policia. It wasn't me. You can rule me out. Easier that way.
He didn't do it. It's the truth.
My friend, I respect the right to roam. The open range awaits. I don't operate in that capacity. I'm not a granter of passage. The passage grants itself.
If it's all so simple, why don't the strikebreakers just go up the stairs?
Aye. Walk right past Measurehead and go in. Yeah, the 2.5 meter tall Semini Supremus is there. Walk right past him. Then press the button to unlock the door. Then go past him again. And you enter the arbor through the office. Está. Don't worry, I'm sure it's not completely impossible. For example, you could best measure head in a physical confrontation. Or you could convert to a Seminese supremacist worldview. Or, maybe it actually is completely impossible. Not yet, no. He's incredibly strong. Jean-Luc himself would say the philosophy has proven overly heroic for the scabs to convert to. Not enough intuition. Sure. Sure thing, my friend. I can help you out. Oh, sorry, friend. Didn't mean to throw it like that. It's a thing we harbor folk do. Comes naturally. Man of honor. I respect that. We were talking about scabs, yeah? You know, serious business. I'm sure the big boss will be glad to tell you. You'll have to ask him first.
He's a chatty guy. Wants to talk about the strike too. Just can't break the command structure and tell you now.
Your body betrays your degeneracy.
Yeah, Measurehead. His body totally betrays his degeneracy.
That is precisely the negligence that has led you to succumb to Al Ghul. You reek of it. An invisible sword of Al Ghul emerges from your throat. You cannot see it, but others can. It is making the woman in my company sick. No, you don't. You need to get another drink. Occidental Haplogroup B4 is done giving orders around here. The influence of the ham sandwich race is waning. Begging for help. Attempting to pass fear for cooperation. How far the Occidental Haplogroup has fallen. You were once a noble and powerful race. You gave the world eugenics, electricity, and powerful weapons of war like missiles and aerostatic aircraft. You made great gains in metallurgy, race theory, and statecraft. You dominated lesser cultures, like the deformed Hemians and the inexplicably potato-obsessed Khoikos. But now your ascent to the genetic summit has halted. You are obsessed with sadness and with frivolous pop culture. You will be superseded. Isn't that right, babe?
It is, baby, yeah. You know it.
There is a button right behind him, just out of reach. It must be the one that opens the door to the harbor.
That is right. You should leave the stage of history with dignity. by inviting the other races to a great world war. Bring your troops to the Simonine Islands and to Boogie Street, and we will pulverize you. When you are gone, we will build a museum for you. The walls will be lined with bottles of Al Ghul, your beloved beverage. Inside, we will store the odes to homosexuality you call art, and your microcephalic skulls.
There may be a peaceful solution to this. You could internalize Meshahed's race theory. He would take you as one of his own. Well, not as such. What you do with a mastery of advanced race theory is up to you. You could reject the findings, sure, or accept them and become an advanced racist.
Don't be vulgar. White or not has got little to do with this. The race enigma runs much deeper than that. Mr. Clare is a man of vision and means. He has the will to confront polycultural capital, something your race, naivistic communists, never did. Also, to serve is noble. It takes discipline. Your petulant individualism has only contributed to your race failure. It is lax and moronic. Jam. Individualism. You have gotten these ideas from degenerate youth culture, have you not? You have picked them up from rock and roll songs? Rock and roll is moribund. Only Koikos listen to it anymore. There is no life left in it. My people abandoned it long ago. It leads only to neurodegenerative herpes and heroin overdoses. I am not surprised you enjoy it so much. This has happened to many of the side products of the inevitable cultural victory of the Seminese race. What you need is to come to terms with extinction and never getting into this harbor.
That sugary black rum stain on the counter makes you teary-eyed with joy. It's almost touching how syrupy and sticky it is. How long have you been up already? Oh, excuse me. Do you have something better to do than lust for sweet syrupy rum and lemonade? With a twist of lemon? Maybe lime. Maybe who cares? Just rum. You should totally sing karaoke here, the first chance you get. Your emotions need to be expressed. People need to know your vast, oceanic soul. Utterly, and it needs to be heard. Through a PA system. By other people. Who is mistakenly identified as a cop for his prominent jawline? Yes, sounds likely. You should probably go on stage and pose for a moment when you're done with this thought. See if it works. You should sing the sad small church song. Duh. Thought it was obvious. Serves them right. Wipe that smirk off their face with your sad, tragic song. Who's laughing now? No one. The theme on that pinball machine is a standard royalist theme, used on everything from pinball cabinets to full-flavor cigarettes. Clinging to a picture book version of the past century, waiting for the king to come back and cast out all the profiteers and homosexuals. Basically, imagine a yellow plastic crown with a liquor brand emblazoned on it. The sentiment is called anti-centennial nostalgia, pining for a time before the turn of the century. It's common even now, after 50 years. This trash container is locked. The sliding lid has a padlock that says, "Whirling in rags." There's something in there, not necessarily connected to the case, but still. With a well-oiled crack, the lock pops open. It should now be possible to simply raise the lid. Don't. Maybe you shouldn't. There is, but you won't like it. Sweat forms on your brow. Your hand is still on the lid. The smell of rotten food rises to greet you. You see soggy cartons, dirty rags, and organic waste.
We're just in time. This hasn't been emptied for over a week.
You see milk and egg rest with one broken egg in it. Some pasta wrapper. Picking up the soggy packages somehow feels familiar. You've done this before. The movements are recorded in your elbows, the methodology in your fingers. You're used to this. No, searching for evidence in the trash. A box falls into pieces in your hands. Batiste Soleil cereal. There are plastic pasta packages below, and turbo noodles. Nothing of note, however. Among the threadbare kitchen towels, something catches your eye. A pair of denim trousers. As the legs of the slime-covered jeans begin to unspool from the garbage, a rank corpse smell fills the air.
The victim's clothes? Cadaverine odor is faint. If these belong to the deceased, they were removed when he was still in the early stages of decay. Drop them in here, officer. Guitar-marked blue jeans. Pockets empty or emptied. He wore them with a belt, too, a white belt. The loops appear stretched, but... The belt is missing. That's it. Do you see anything else in there? I have another bag here.
Something slimy catches your eye. A drab, long-sleeved shirt, olive-colored, appears from the food waste, dripping with pus.
This is a military-type overgarment. No label or serial number. This is the kind of rib-knit shirt that's worn over light armor to conceal it in an urban scenario. Anything more?
The rest of the rags are just kitchen variety waste. A yellow old mug that catches your eye. But other than that...
All right. We should go to Gart again and ask if he knows who put the clothes in the trash. It could be as simple as someone from the hostel cleaning the yard. Or that one. I'd advise against confronting that force.
The fuck's he on about, kids? You hear that, Kuno? He thinks you're an infant or something.
See? Not really. All we know is the victim's clothes are in the trash, the lid was locked, and his establishment had the key. It's just a small loose thread.
The lieutenant nods, then looks back into the trash container. You pick out a broken mug with an oddly racist depiction of the yellow man frolicking in saffron. Only in its social sensibility. It's just organic waste, cold and slimy on your hands. Apple and potato peels, mostly. Unidentified sludge, and the occasional chicken bone thrown in for good measure. But hey. Nothing. It's nothing. Nothing more to see here. What's this? A blue piece of plastic sticks out from the apple peels. It's shiny. Looks like the corner of something. Something larger. A clipboard. A blue plastic clipboard with moist papers hanging from it. They look badly damaged, but you can still make out forms and notes, written in a man's handwriting. Not just any man's. This dense cursive, it's yours.
Officer, is that your paperwork? There's a lot of it, too. And you've got an autopsy form in there, in the back. That light pink copy paper. If you don't mind me asking, how did this get in the trash? What are you talking about? Doeth thou also thorough inventories? You should take stock of your notes. Make sure it's all there. Official notes contain informants' names. If some of it has fallen into the hands of the RCM's adversaries, bloodletting may well ensue. It would also not hurt to start taking notes on the case. Now, tell me what your eagle eyes see. Or are we finished?
The container sounds a muffled gong.
That's one thing off the list. I think we got it all.
Tremble. The time is now. Ta'ola. Time for the show. For Ta'ola. The hallowed time of fear and disintegration. A countdown has begun. All will collapse on itself. The world will disappear into a single grain of blackness. All sound will be muted. All life will scream. Time for the show. Ulogu Theodos. Xeno Zausin. Ipoli Osithian. Echondes Fronisin. Monday morning. The moment you arrived in this reality are the first crack in the sheer face of God. From you it will spread. Yes, you spoke the words of the Palindropos and the houses of Pericarnassus. Items, people, even words will tumble. All will lose its meaning in the coming years. That is why you marked yourself. It's totally also a coping mechanism. So you should be. The world island crumbles at your feet, and in the far plain, Palindropos. Perhaps, just a thought, this has something to do with the hangover. The face of the woman fractures. There will be herd killing. We all become vapor. This coin-operated viewer is facing southwest. Its coin slot is full of fossilized bubblegum. The metal feels cold and wet under your palm. It looks unhygienic.
Probably some kids.
A simple but clever solution to ruining a coin-operated viewer. It took ingenuity. A thick layer of graffito covers the lenses. You spell out the word Onug written on the other side, with N and C scribbled backwards. That's Kuno on the lens. Under the graffito, a sea of blues and greys appear. Behind the water lies a coast studded with concrete and reeds. On it, a church on stilts, lanky weather-worn wooden planks, an X-shaped cross topping its tower. You know this to be the star of Pericanasis, or the Cairo, the central symbol of the Pericanassian church, a star, a great moral height to be strived towards. The church looks old and weather-worn. There are no lights in the windows. Around the large wooden building you see chunks of sea ice gathered on the beach, and a small tent set up on the ice. This coin-operated viewer is facing south. The instruction manual says to insert 25 centimes and pull the handle while looking inside. Then use the focus knob to zoom in if necessary. Why place a tourist attraction in the middle of such poverty?
There was a revitalization project in '49. A design studio tried restoring Martinez to its pre-war glory. It didn't stick. They got as far as the street lamps and the statue on that intersection. Then something went sour. I suspect that something was Everard Clare, the union leader. He muscled them out. It's how it usually goes around here. We should have done something about the union 10 years ago. That ship has sailed, officer.
Your money disappears into the coin slot, a clunk, the ring of metal. The curtains on the display open. You lean in to catch the view. It's blurry, different blues and greens. In the middle of the shimmer stands a drab grey shape, like a ghost. The lenses shift. The ghost sharpens into an islet in the bay. In the ruins, a man-made structure is visible. A half-sunken sea fort, its concrete almost reconquered by nature. It looks as if it was abandoned quite some time ago. Nothing but a rotten tooth remains of the anti-aircraft tower. A lonely birch tree grows out of it.
Really? I don't have the eyesight to make it out.
Ruination has come. The broken arches betray the once grand history of this building. It towered over the harbor until it happened. A great force from the northeast fired into the city. Heavy artillery shelled the coastline, fired from the water, a straight shot into Revachol. The tenement acted as a defensive wall against the worst of the shelling until it was destroyed, and they had a direct firing line. The waves of the Martinez Inlet roll over the fallen remains of the building. The dark waters obscure the better part of the remains. What didn't fall into the ocean was used as scrap. What wasn't used as scrap was thrown into the ocean. Those arches acted as support for something greater than what you see now. Only 3 stories stand where 9 to 12 once did. Restoration has failed. What the shelling took out was never rebuilt. A fleet, the combined armies of Occident and Grad, with Mesk volunteers, a 5-nation army, hundreds of vessels. They massed airships further down in the Bay of Revachol. The artillery was so powerful. The ships not only required gyroscopic stabilization, they were anchored into the ocean floor as well. Many are still there to this day. If you squint, you can just barely see the shadow on the water, far in the northeast. Cannons still ready to placate Revachol. Coalition warship Archer can shoot 50 shells a minute on 20 co-aligned arches. They will reach the city in 58 seconds.
The coalition. But that was a long time ago. I think we should move on. It's chilly up here.
What happened here? Put your emotions aside. Try to focus on abstract, impersonal things. But this reeks of sadness. It will still be accessible through the apartment next to it. That one didn't have a door. Sadly, nothing of great value remains here. Indeed. You hear someone walking around inside, rearranging the furniture. The number on the panel says 10. The walking stops abruptly, but no one comes to the door. You can feel tension on the other side. A poor communard from the looks of it. The room is barely bigger than a closet.
Do I have to open the door? Do you have a warrant? I'm not obligated to open the door if you don't have a warrant.
Let's go. We don't have a reason to get inside that apartment.
It's generally easier to do things if you have literally any reason. That isn't just a 5-pointed star. It's an inverted white pentagram cradled in a wreath of antlers, the iconography of communism, in other words.
I'll keep my armistice handy, detective.
He doesn't actually reach for his gun. The star and antlers was developed in the 6th decade of the last century and quickly adopted by Mazov and the communards during the revolution. Even today, half a century after, the star and antlers retains the ability to evoke hope, disappointment, and fear in equal measure. To symbolize the toppling of the old order. Also, some social democrats were already using it. The wreath of antlers represents a natural crown. It was about building a society that could exist in accord with the natural world and at the same time above it. Because white is the color of peace. Nothing at all yet. Right now, it's just meaningless shapes on a wall. A plaster cast bust depicts a middle-aged man with impressive sideburns. The name on the plinth reads Kraz Mazov. Kraz Mazov, nom de guerre, was an economist and a theoretical historian. He was a leading figure in the Grad side of the turn-of-the-century revolution, where he headed the 9-day government. Mazov is considered the father of scientific communism, Mazovian thought, or Mazovianism.
The white star, the photos on the wall. I think we have broken into the apartment of a young communard. How fitting.
The white star, the photos on...
Give me a moment. I'm no one, just an old woman who cleans these hallways. If you can call it living. I have a little room upstairs right next to the coal room. It's barely bigger than a closet, but I don't complain, no. I have my bed and my aching bones to keep me company. And that's all I need from this world.
She hasn't spoken to anyone for a while. Even her sentences feel rusty.
Ask away, policeman. The hell am I supposed to know? Another nut job, I assume. Some lunatic lost his mind. All kinds of morons pass through these halls. People come and go. I don't keep an eye on everyone.
They probably just moved or died, hopefully somewhere else.
No one lives there. It's been empty for months. Impossible. I would know if someone had moved in there. Maybe it's those countercultural people again, breaking into a house like it's a public space. You're a policeman. Be good and take a look, will you? Great. Young people. They're worse than rats. You know, always littering the hallways with trinkets and empty beer cans. The artiste? Nothing I can do about her, I'm afraid. She ruins the walls faster than I can clean them. Still, she leaves an old lady to her business. More than I can say for others.
She mumbles some kind of a response, then hacks something into her handkerchief. You hear someone walking around inside, rearranging the furniture. The number on the panel says 10.
Excuse me? Of course not.
You have plenty of reason to enter.
Oh, come on.
Well, that was easy.
That was smart.
Satisfied? My name is Marielle Charpentier, and I'm an agent with Martinez Realty Associates. I am not breaking in, as I have every right to be here. The keys, see?
Boy, there are a lot of different keys there. More than 20 at least.
Do you want to see my ID as well? You can't legally ask for it, but why not? Want to see my residence permit too?
It feels flimsy in hand, with the words Revachol Zone of Control written under a nondescript municipal logo. There's a picture of her with shorter hair inside, along with all her personal details.
Thank you. Do you have any questions? I need to be back in Midtown in an hour. I need to get it ready for the next lease, but as you can see, the previous tenant completely trashed the place. It was some kind of a moribund old man who used to be a business owner. You'd think they'd make rent.
A sudden serious look crosses her face. This story didn't have a happy ending.
But that was months ago. Anyway, was there anything you wanted, or is that it? I'm in a hurry. Oh, that's another huge mess. The former tenant owes us 3 months of rent. 3. We closed the apartment and planned on auctioning off the valuables, but... And again, I have no idea how stupid mistakes like this can even happen. But Ron, when he came to close the door, didn't close the neighboring door. And there's a hole in the wall. A hole in the wall. Can you believe it? And then the tenant ran off with his stuff. He's gone. The money's gone. Just like that.
The sum must have been puny.
These apartments are perfectly fine. They have gorgeous architecture, a million-real view of the bay, good ventilation, neighbors, life, spark, and they are affordable. I'll tell you, Martinez has a future. In a few years, it's going to blossom with artists and creatives and those radio computer wizards. Don't ask me what happened with the wall. I have no idea how we're going to find the time or resources to fix it. Both apartments are now unrentable. Both. Of course.
Just an ordinary wall. Nothing to see here.
Amphetamine. Sweet amphetamine. Maybe this Kuno kid knows where to find more. The lieutenant isn't studying the powder in the mirror. He's studying you. There's a good vague way to ask where he stands on drug use. Professionally, I mean.
Perhaps not. This is below our pay grade, detective. However, but that there was an interesting find. An alternative path into the harbor that the kid uses. Well done.
Calling clerk with possible RCM markings.